yeah.
Come on! Cause this is the revolution. People's revolution. This is the revolution. I wanna hear everybody sing freedom. Everybody sing freedom. Man and woman sing freedom. Everybody sing freedom.
UNC family, too quiet. Too quiet. Too quiet. In the name of God, the most gracious, the especially merciful. Brothers and sisters, first of all, I'd like to, on behalf of our honorable political leader, extend the warmest congratulations to Dylan Carter on his fantastic individual achievement. And also, as we are in the Southland, to what we call the Saints of the South, St. Benedict's, in winning the national. And I forgot, who they beat again? Who St. Benedict's beat? Fatima? Fatima? Oh, the college is really gone quiet now? You playing against girls now? Oh, Fatima? Really, we congratulate all the schools. And that is a perfect segue into where I want to go. I observed some of these games, and it was glaring to me, the sense of community at those games. Because that's what schools are. Schools essentially are community. And schools essentially form an integral part of what we call community in Trinidad and Tobago. You all agree with me? What also forms an essential part of community is culture. I give the example of what is so important to the national community right now. In Laventille, we have Desperados in Desperately Crescent, where they had their panyard, which is now gone. Stick a pin. When you have places of worship, churches, mosques, mandis, temples, when they are no longer safe spaces in a community, what does that tell you? When you have sporting fields that people cannot go and play football or cricket, what does that tell you about that community? It tells you that that community is finished. So we have to ask ourselves, when we notice Laventille and what has happened in the last years, especially under this PNM government, we see that community is slowly being decimated, especially in Laventille. We have to ask ourselves, why? If you move schools, you move culture, you move sports within a community, what essentially you have done? You have moved community. You have moved people away from that community. And we have to ask ourselves, what is happening in Laventille, where McDonald Jacobs, Minister of Security, National Fitzgerald Hiinds, they cannot seem to find anybody or any of the gangs that they talk about. How come all of a sudden Fitzgerald Hiinds can go into Laventille, go into Rosehill with a whole gang himself and cannot find the gangs that move in? And I'll tell you why. And why do I speak about Laventille all the time and my passion? Because I feel that Laventille is basically a litmus test for the national community. I feel Laventille is that litmus test that the PNM has left a legacy of failure. And I'll get it even more personal. That same Rosehill school that we hear people talking about, and we justifiably so, my mother went to that school. Rita Harris Nakhid went to Rosehill School before her. My grandfather took her out and put her in Sacred Hearts. Rudolph Charles, the person that everyone talks about from Laventille, the Hammer, my uncle, went to Rosehill. And so did Uncle Jerry Waldron. I'm calling names of people who are famous in Laventille as desperados. Uncle Kenneth Charles went to Rosehill School. So that is personal to me when I saw that video of those children, their faces pressed on the ground. I'm not coming and talk to you something I don't know. My family went to that school. My family formed part of that community. You feel that shipping is going on about gangs shooting from Richardson Lane and one gang shooting from Lassick Trace up. You feel that shipping is going to go on if the Hammer was still here? If the Hammer would have fixed that with a hammer, Fitzgerald Hiinds and them with all the guns, they can't fix it. They don't want to fix it. And I'll tell you why. As a government destroys schools, it's not just the infrastructure you're talking about. You're talking about students, their families. You're talking about somebody who know his brother get killed at some point in time. Somebody who know that his friend, his neighbor, his daughter, his son get killed. How many communities could bear that trauma? All those children that you see there lying down, face down in the ground, you know what is the result of that? Or what will be the result of that? My friend, play the tape of what we saw there in Tranquility. That is the daughter of the former president, former prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, A.N.R. Robertson. That is his daughter, principal of Tranquility School. Went to break up a fight in Tranquility, and that is on the ground. So those children that you all see traumatized on the ground there, and everybody bawling, oh God, look how I'm feeling sorry for them. That is what happens when they reach a high school. That is the behavior displayed. So this is not something you just gloss over, and next week we talk about something else. This is where they end up. This is where those children that we allow this PNM government to bury their noses, faces in the ground. You think I'm going on and talk about Fitzgerald Hiinds again? Everybody in the country knows how incompetent, how uncaring Fitzgerald Hiinds has no idea about how to deal with national security. This is our concern. This is the concern of Kamala Prasad, Bisasa, and the UNC. What we're going to do to make sure that those children with their faces down on the ground don't reach to that. That when they reach to that level, they don't even respect a principal of a school, the daughter of a former president and prime minister. And I heard MP Anita Hiinds say something. Long time in school, you could be fighting how much you want. As you hear principal coming, what do you do? Everybody stand up against the wall, shit. Like. No. Shit. The daughter, the principal of that school, down on the ground. That is the level of respect. Why? Don't let them come and tell you the parents at fault, this at fault, this at... It started from where a minister of national security, intellectually poor, morally vacuous, a total imbecile, could come and tell you that they're 200 meters away from the school. It happening every day. You hear the school guard talk about it. It happening every day. That is what they have normalized, because this is a PNM government that has normalized mediocrity. They have normalized incompetence. They have normalized breaching the Constitution. This is a criminal enterprise. Rowley sitting back. You think Rowley care? You know why? If you destroy communities, if your purpose is to eliminate culture, sports, schools, churches, places of worship, if that is your objective, you know what you're telling people? Leave the community. And that is what I am telling the nation of Trinidad and Tobago today, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is a part of a PNM master plan to completely remove the Laventillians, the residents of Laventille, from that area and give it over to the 1% of PNM. I'm telling you, this is their objective. There is no way that you can tell me that a government, with giving you all the resources, we have what kind of defense force, we have police. You're telling me they can't come now and lock down gangs, protect schools, protect playgrounds? No. And I tell you all, use Laventille. Why? Laventille is a microcosm of other communities on the East-West Corridor. And I've said it many times. Fix East-West Corridor, you fix Trinidad and Tobago. Fix the East-West Corridor, you fix Trinidad and Tobago. But PNM not interested. They want that real estate in Laventille. And I hear that from my uncles many times. Many times. And it's clear. It's clear. Because I said it before, albeit with a little more spicy language. If those were different people on that ground, bet your bottom dollar that problem in Laventille fixed one time. I say no more. You know, I was watching this, and the PNM remind me of Western powers, specifically like Belgium, and I like to go international with the comparisons. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, every time you hear they discover gold or cobalt, you know, the richest country in the world is the DRC. The richest country by all estimates, by all metrics, richest country in the world. But every time they discover cobalt or uranium somewhere, all of a sudden you hear that area have what? Ebola. Everybody had to move out all of a sudden. You know what? So who is the political version of Ebola? PNM. That is the PNM is a political version of Ebola. They always had to move out somebody. You telling me something wrong with us, have problems in our school, move out. You have problems in our panyard, move out. You have problems in our sporting grounds, move out. So what people paying you money for? To protect who? Rowley and Stuart Young? It's a shame, people. I mean, it's so laughable that we have to put up with this government. It has reached to the point where everybody feels in Trinidad that is virtually every man and woman for themselves. What do you all think about that? Where our taxpayers, and let me tell you what, Laventille people are taxpayers too, eh? Don't forget that. They deserve proper representation, whether or not they're voting for PNM. That is not the point. That is not UNC. UNC, we care about every single citizen. Do you vote for us or you don't vote for us? So, I say to my brothers and sisters, given that we have seen our people traumatized by a corrupt, insensitive government like this PNM, and Hiinds, who came today, and this is my last contribution about this particular gentleman. He proclaimed today that he was a child of Laventille. After I spoke with my uncles, I would like to say, Hiinds, you may have been a child of Laventille, but you are no Laventille man. You are confirmed PNM jackass. So the PNM continues to institute among all peoples of all communities a sense of dependency. It's very easy for them because it's a whole criminal cycle for them. You know, the PNM not interested in diversifying the economy. They're about diversifying crime. That is all they're good in. So they'll give you a model. For example, they want to vote apart because they're only interested in power. So here what they'll do. Say, we have too much crime here. Move people out, put them in touch roads. Why touch roads? Green space, a place where everybody could congregate, a place where everybody could feel safe, they could breathe. You want to come and put HGC units there. And here what you do? Typical PNM, you throw the race card. You get talking heads to talk about, oh, fear of a black planet. I hear some fella, one of the talking heads from Cascade, and I'll call them out because we need to call these people out because they are inhibiting, they are protecting, they are facilitating this government called the PNM. So this George Elias fella, I see a long diatribe about fear of a black planet and people in San Fernando shouldn't be afraid of black. I say, well, must we have no black people living in San Fernando? Something I pass something, I don't know. I know black. All I know is that you're taking a space which is already saturated. You have a green space where people could come, plant, play sports, walk around, like Mandela Park. And you want to bring 500 units, or how many units you want in order to vote apart. And the whole country knows it. but you feel that you could engage in that level of political criminality because you have normalized that. And we come back to that again. We come back to how comfortable Rowley and this band of incompetents feel that they could breach the Constitution as regards the merit list, how they could enter into an indemnity agreement with Vince Nelson, a political prostitute, and then feel comfortable to still come and tell you, using their talking heads, that Ananram Logan and Gerald Ramdeen, they must be guilty because Vince Nelson says so. Vince Nelson, if I tell him tomorrow that Fatima is the best team that ever play, he will and give him $5, he come in and say yes. Then if I tell him the next day that St. Mary's is the best team and give him $10, he come in and say yes. That's a political prostitute. So he has no credibility at all. So we have to be careful. And I know that you are. So I know my time is running short. I have a million things to tell you all. And I see only a while. And I'm feeling it, Mr. Kanai. So you got to hold on a little bit. Really, we have to be careful with how this PNM tries to direct the narrative. You know, they're quick to tell us when we call them out that we are being obscene. If you watch the comments, Nakhid is the most obscene person, and you know what I mean? But I am telling you, who are being paid with taxpayers' money, that you are cheating taxpayers of what is their right. So if I cannot move you out with this, I've got to use an X finger. And you got to understand that. Because I only have, like the UNC, like the opposition, we have two things to move you out. We have the vote, or we have our mouths to speak. If you deny me that vote, like what you're doing now, postponing elections, if you deny us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the chance to tell you, in other words, symbolically, without this finger but our next finger, you have to give us that right. If you take away that right from us, how do you expect us to move? So we are not being obscene by pointing out to you that you are the person keeping back Trinidad and Tobago, putting us in the abyss with the highest crime rate, with our children not being able to access proper education, with the worst healthcare system for the amount of money placed. If you do all of that, how do you expect our reaction to be? As a matter of fact, the obscenity is you, Keith Rowley. You are the symbol of anything diabolical. You are the symbol of anything devilish. You are the symbol of anything that could represent progress for Trinidad and Tobago. So, as I said, when our government has gone way beyond the boundaries of logic and begins to utilize force, and when I say force, anytime you breach the Constitution, anytime you blur the lines with the separation of powers, that is force. Don't think force is only when you send military to go and lock up people. No, from the time you break the law, you are using force. You are using political force against your enemies. And that is what they did with Nelson Gate. When you do not separate powers, when Fitzgerald Hiinds could come and announce like he investigating crime, he already has undermined the separation of powers. That is not his remit at all. So we are not satisfied with the government's manipulation of the EBC, postpones election, denies the rightful duty of the people. Then the index finger must change to the middle finger. Don't blame us for being obscene. You are the obscene one, Keith Rowley. The obscenity lies with you. Rowley having no problem seeing young children face down in the ground to carry out the PNM master plan for his 1% financiers, that is obscenity. The obscenity lies with you, Keith Rowley, not respecting anybody or any of the nation's institutions and the women of this country, but asking for respect. That is obscenity. The obscenity lies with you, Keith Rowley, thinking that a new building or a one-off event is somehow public policy. The obscenity lies with you, Keith Rowley, decimating the healthcare system, which COVID-19 exposed writ large. The obscenity is with you, Keith Rowley, who have left our farmers and the agricultural sector isolated and stagnant. The obscenity is with you, Keith Rowley, who has plunged this great country into the depths of social and economic darkness, leaving a polarized, impoverished country as your legacy. But I'm here to tell you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and I give this endorsement, knowing it to be so. The Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar will bring this country back from the abyss. Who saw her presentation in the House on Friday, spoke of her fire, her compassion, that this woman still brings to the political table. Kamala Persad-Bissessar is ready. We are ready. The people of Trinidad and Tobago are ready to take this country back from this tyrannical, corrupt government led by the most tyrannical, corrupt Keith Rowley. This is nothing more than change for the benefit of this country, the self-interest of all our people. May Almighty God bless and guide us on the right path. I thank you, brothers and sisters.